Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the I Love Me podcast, where we talk about self-love, positivity, and how to be whoever the hell you want to be. My name is Thurn. I'm so happy to be here with you all today, and I'm joined by a very special guest.
Special guest.
Yeah.
I'm honored. I'm Emma.
So, Emma, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm also a Mount A student. I'm a friend of Thor's. And I'm a fine arts student going into my third year at Mount A. What else can I say?
What do you want them to know about you?
Oh, what do I want? That's it.
Okay, cool. Cool. So let's just hop straight into it. But today we're switching things up. And as you can see, we added something new to the list. We have cue cards now. So we're switching things up a bit. So
Cue cards for you.
Yeah, cue cards for me, you know?
Not
Cue
for
cards.
me.
No.
Well. See ya.
Not yet, at least. So we're switching things up. And my first question I would ask is, what is the best piece of advice you have received in your life?
In my life, well, it's not really a piece of advice, but it's something that helped me change my perspective on things. There's this video on YouTube about the artist David Hockney, and he says something like, or he's reacting to things that Van Gogh has said, and in his video, and he says something like about the nature and how Van Gogh has always seen nature for what it is.
Yeah.
And while the video is playing, there's like this image of his painting, and you can see like all the colorful brush strokes and everything. And that just made me think of like, oh my gosh, the world is like so colorful and there's so many things to see.
Yeah.
And that just changed my perspective on how to see the outside.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That just like completely, I need to see this video so I can like have my perspective changed and made anew.
Period.
So now that you talked about the piece of advice or the video that changed your perspective, let's take it back a little bit. What negative experiences have you been through within your life?
When I was younger, my mom and I were like literally just a pair.
Yeah.
All the time. She would take me traveling with her. She'd like bring me everywhere on her shoulders. And she took me all the way to Hong Kong when I was just a baby. And so I was born in Toronto.
Yeah.
But she had a job. She had gotten a job in Hong Kong and had brought me during the SARS.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like sick every single day. Not because of SARS, but I think it was either related to like the pollution there or something.
Yeah.
But we had this like really close bond because we've experienced so much together. And my first language was Cantonese, and I couldn't even speak like anything else. So she couldn't really understand me, but it didn't really matter. And then because both of my parents are from Trinidad and Tobago, she brought me there.
Yeah.
And I developed a close relationship with the woman in my family, so my grandmother and her. And we came back to Toronto, and I went to school, and then all of a sudden, like, my mom started seeing someone, and I didn't know about it because my mom had, like, long hours at work.
Yeah.
She was a teacher at a private school, French and Spanish teacher, and I would always be at my cousin's place, my aunt's place, and I'd go to the same school as them, so sometimes, like, I wouldn't even be home.
Yeah.
On some days, because my mom was working, and she introduced me. I don't remember how it happened, but she introduced me to a man that she was interested in, and he started living with us, and I was just like, I didn't know how to feel because it was just me and her for the longest time. And I was around maybe 8 years old when they got married, and I just remember I was so angry.
Yeah.
So angry. I just felt like either it was an invasion of space or because I knew it would change things even at that young age. And at the wedding, I cried during the entire ceremony, and I think people just thought that I was either tired or something, but like, I knew what was going on even as a kid. I wouldn't even touch the wedding cake, and kids love cake.
Yeah.
Right? So that was a big thing for me, and I had to live on with that for like up until now, because they're still married, and now they have, like, I have 2 younger brothers, and growing up with that, I think I've just felt distance from him. And it's not necessarily, I feel like a lot of people go through that if they have step parents especially. And when I was little, there were some things I was allowed to do and some things I wasn't allowed to do. I grew up in a very like protective household, or sheltered family, and I guess my stepdad might have thought, because he was in this position replacing my dad. My dad is still alive and well. He lives in Trinidad, but I don't see him very often. And because my stepdad was put in that position, I guess he maybe thought that he had say over what I did.
Yeah.
And for example, when I went to my cousin's house and like we'd watch SpongeBob all the time, or like do things that kids do, right?
Yeah.
He'd criticize me and be like, "Oh, like that's such a stupid show. Why would you watch that? You shouldn't be watching this at your age," or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and it really made me feel like, okay, like I'm not a normal kid, right?
Yeah.
So that was really something, and it kind of grew on my cousins as well, and they didn't have a very good relationship either between my stepdad and them. But once my brothers came along, it was like, okay, all the attention was focused on them, and like, it's not that I'm jealous or anything. I mean, like, they are his kids, so obviously it would be different. But they got, like, everything I had and even more.
Yeah.
And I remember when my little brother, the older one of of both of them,
Yeah.
he was watching SpongeBob, and obviously my stepdad didn't do anything about it. And yeah, that was just like a realization for me, like, okay, so what do I do now that, like, I wanted to be polite, so I didn't say anything, and I never spoke up about it. And I'm thinking maybe I should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry that, like, hearing this really makes me want to cry, like, honestly. Like, I'm sorry that you have to, like, go through that whole experience. Like, that's not something, like, I would want anyone to experience, especially, like, within their home and, like, distance from, like, their parents. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Oh my God. But I know you said that you felt angry, and, like, when you went through these experiences, like, what other emotions did you go through? Like, what thoughts and feelings went through your mind?
Oh my gosh, almost everything. Like, I felt frustrated. I've tried to, well, not run away from home, but there were just some days where I'd be like, I couldn't stay in the house.
Yeah.
And I've tried to. I still avoid my stepdad sometimes. It's not because like I have any hate towards him or anything, but it's just it's like a impulse feeling, I guess. And yeah, I was like really closed off for a long time as well. That's one other big thing.
Honestly, like, I can completely relate to what you're saying, because I remember this time my mom had a boyfriend, and I always like hated him in a sense, like, because like I felt like he would come between me and my mom, because like me and my mom were so close, and we were always close, and like introducing someone new who could like change the dynamic of the relationship. I was like 16 at the time, and I was like, yeah, I don't like him, and what about it? And like, my mom would like always let him pick me up from school. I wouldn't even say good morning. I wouldn't even say good afternoon. Like, I was just like so closed off and so finished, but thank God they broke up.
I did the exact same thing.
Literally.
Exact same.
I was like, hi. There was one time like I went to like fill up like the ice like in the freezer, like the ice tray, and like I was using like the water in the fridge. And then, so he was like, why are you using the water in the fridge? Like, that's not the good thing to do. Use the water from the bottle. And I was like, what's the difference? Like, what is the difference? So then I continued filling it up, and then he grabbed it from me. And then, so I took it back and I poured the water on him. And I was like, if you ever grab anything out of my hands again, it's going to be over for you. I want you to know that.
That is so
and then after that, like, of course, my mom like stepped in and like mediated the situation. But like, I was just like, I'm not dealing with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I know. Huh?
Oh, sorry to
You can
cut
go.
you off, but did you ever like talk to your mom about those things?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, like my mom, like she was like upstairs and like I was downstairs.
Okay.
So like she would know, and she knew I didn't like him as much. Like I was not
Right.
here for like that relationship. She knew.
Yeah,
So.
I talked to my mom as well, but sometimes I just like I didn't want her to get hurt, and that was the
Yeah,
most important
exactly.
thing.
Because I didn't want to take away from her own happiness. So I was just
Exactly.
like, well, one day, like, I'm not going to be here, and you're going to need someone to be happy with. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So, like, I know you mentioned how you said, like, you were closed off and you were angry. How did you, like, climb your stairs to, like, come out of those emotions and that mindset of, like, I'm not going to open myself up to this person?
Right, and honestly, sometimes I feel like I never did.
Yeah.
And I never did. And I'm like a non-confrontational person, so things like that I tend to avoid because I don't like conflict. But I guess it's kind of a bad habit if I keep pushing things away. Yeah, maybe an example would help. Like, I think during COVID, when the school was closed, I stayed back in residence for like maybe a month because everyone left early, but Toronto especially had way more cases than here did.
Yeah.
And so when I finally flew back home and my stepdad came to pick me up, like my mom was home and all that, I just felt like I don't know how to explain what the feeling was.
Yeah. I was just like, what do I do?
Yeah, I felt so isolated and so like I don't know if it was discrimination exactly, but my stepdad picked me up from the airport and he was like, okay, you sit in the back seat, keep your mask on, I'll keep my mask on. We went home and like we had a little conversation, like small talk as usual, like how has it been at university or whatever. And then we got home and my mom sometimes has these like nuts in jars and she'll snack on them from time to time, and I only eat them when my mom eats them.
Yeah.
So I like grabbed the jar and had a few, and then he like walked by in the kitchen and he was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna have to sanitize that after you touched it. And I was like heated. I couldn't take it. And every time that a situation like that happens, I tell myself, okay, next time I'll say it to his face, say it straight. But I never do, because just like we mentioned before, like I never want things to get complicated for my mom, and I always think about other people it could affect. So I kind of just take it and accept it.
Yeah.
And think about like how other people could get hurt in the situation, but also because I've gotten older and I've seen these things happen, and the difference between how my brothers are treated and how I am treated. I've been able to gain like my own independence from it.
Yeah.
And I think especially not staying at home for school was like the best option for me, because I was able to like branch out and like meet other people and not be at home all the time, and like be in their space where it was obvious that I didn't want to be at home. So that helped a lot.
Oh my God, hearing you like speak about these things just like hits home for me, and like hearing what you like experienced, what you thought, and like how you climbed your stairs to get out of this like mental headspace. Honestly, I completely agree, because that situation gave me like a sense of independence I think I wouldn't have had if I wasn't in that situation.
Right.
Because it like made me it made me more forgiving towards people in a sense, because like I felt like after that whole relationship was over, I held some sort of like animosity towards my mom, because I was like, why would you put me through this? Or like,
Right.
why did you put me in this situation?
Right.
Why didn't you put me before your own happiness? But then I had to realize that like what I was thinking was selfish, because
Yeah.
I want you to be more happy than me.
Yeah, because I'm sure you felt like your mom didn't really do anything for you.
Yeah.
Like, even though you told her all those things, and she didn't really, like, maybe talk to her boyfriend about it or anything like that, or didn't do anything to improve the situation, and I completely understand that. But, yeah, it's definitely, like, sometimes when you think about it, it's like, oh, am I the one being selfish? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like this topic is just like something that like hits home
hard,
for
yeah.
me. So as we talked about like how you climbed your stairs, so let's talk about like you climbed your stairs now. What are 5 rapid fire? What are 5 things that make you happy?
Oh my gosh. Whenever, I mean, I'm a fine arts student, and I guess seeing things and putting it out on paper or like through things that I can make is what I do. So that's something I really love, making art. And I really like being physically active.
Oh,
When things
I'm allergic to the
I
gym.
lost you now.
I'm allergic to the gym.
Yeah, physical activity is really good for me, just to like get myself out of a headspace where I feel stressful or under
Right.
pressure. So I do a lot of tennis, swimming on my own time, just like, and I do it by myself. So I just need to be by myself to de-stress.
Yeah.
And I like to cook a lot. I like to make things.
Yeah,
that-
I always watch your Instagram stories. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to eat things that taste good, that make me feel good, and doing my makeup too sometimes. It helps just to make you feel good.
Yeah,
Little
as you
things.
should.
Yeah. Was that 5?
No, that's 4.
That was 4. I can't count. Yeah, I am not a math student, guys. One more thing. I think going out with friends, or like hanging around people that I love
Yeah.
to spend time with.
Yeah.
my dog as well.
Oh,
So, yeah.
I'm scared of dogs, but we shan't get into that. So, as we talk about like your happiness, what does your happiness mean to you? What does being happy mean to Emma?
It means almost everything, I guess. Like, through university, I think I've learned, or I've gotten to the point where I felt genuinely happy with myself and happy in the place that I've been and happy with the people I've met, even though I've like probably lost a couple friends on the way. We're not going to talk about that today, but
Don't worry, people are in your life for a season and a reason.
Exactly. I like that mindset. Yeah, so what was the question again?
The question was, what does happiness mean to you?
Well, to answer your question, I think happiness is definitely a process, and it doesn't just appear in your life. It appears through the things that you've gone through and things that like make you feel that emotion, right? So yeah, it does mean everything to me, because it always helps me learn about something about myself, and yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, so speaking of yourself, right? As we like divulge into like self-love and like positivity with loving who you are, what does like self-love mean to you? Some people think like self-love and like happiness are the same thing, but I feel like without self-love, you can't have happiness, and without happiness, you can't love yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've definitely had to go through a lot of things before I could love myself as well. I'm sure you have as well. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Literally just before this, like I was telling Emma, like we were like looking at like our angles for like the camera, and I was just like, I am not looking cute today, so I'm gonna sit like this for the whole time. And Emma was like, love yourself. And I'm like, yeah, girl, only on Tuesdays.
Only on Tuesdays. It's Fridays for me. Actually, nah, it's every
Self-love.
day of the week.
Period.
Period, as it should
Every
be.
day. Just like birthday weeks, you know? When you have your birthday, it has to be the entire week. It can't just be one day.
Exactly. I tell everyone that all the time. I'm like, I have a birthday month. Okay? When Virgo season starts and ends, that's my birthday month. Okay? So whenever Virgo season starts, prepare for the extraness that is Stoic McKenzie on his birthday.
You better treat me well.
Exactly. Period. As you should. Because I am the king and I deserve to be treated like one.
There you go. Back to your question though, self-love. Self-love is really not comparing yourself to others. I think that it can get dangerous if you keep looking at other people's lives and idealizing it and wanting to become someone who you're not. You really have to look at yourself and try to accept everything about yourself to really be successful in that journey of self-love, I think.
Yeah.
And I got there.
Exactly. As you should.
And I'm sure a lot of people who hopefully will be listening to this podcast relate and find their self-love eventually.
Yeah, like it's not like an easy process because like it doesn't happen overnight. It's like a gradual thing that you have to learn to accept. So speaking of self-love, what are 5 things that you love about yourself?
5 things. I mean, this is hard to say because I don't want to sound like...
Oh, this is a time to hype yourself up here. Okay. People think it's so like vain to be like, I love my skin, I love my body, I love who I am, and that's on period. But like, it's hyping myself up because I deserve to be hyped up.
Got it. Yeah, I love being like a unique person and being able to express myself artistically. And I know not everyone is fortunate enough to do that, and I'm really happy that I'm able to do that. So that is one thing. And I also love the mix of cultures I come from.
Yeah.
My background is Chinese and Chinese Trinidadian actually, and I have like maybe some Hispanic heritage on my mom's side and some Guyanese heritage maybe on my dad's side. So it's really like, it's a mix of things. And I think I attended like it was this meeting, one that was offered by the Mount A International Center. I forgot what it was called, but its goal was to talk about culture. And I think someone on the meeting said that I talked to them face to face, and they said that it's very enriching to understand where you come from and to be able to share that with other people. So that's something that really opened up my eyes a little. That was the second thing. Third thing, I guess I do like my skin very much. Coming from like a Chinese background and mostly looking Chinese, I guess, I think there's things in that culture which they think they have certain beauty standards and stuff. So being fair-skinned is one, and I guess I've never really felt like I fit into that culture, into one specific culture. I always like bounce around. So I guess I'm proud to look different. I'm very proud. 2 more things.
Period.
Yeah. 2 more things. What else do I love about myself? I love that I'm able to create such deep bonds with people that I meet. Like, even if it's just like an acquaintance sometimes, like I don't have like friends that I talk to every day, but if I meet someone like you, it's not like we have a friendship, but every time that I talk to someone, it's like we don't have to restart as friends.
Yeah.
We pick up from where we left off, and that's something I really like about myself that I can do, I guess. I'm such a bad conversation starter, but that's one of the perks of being me. And it's not necessarily something I noticed about myself. My last thing is that people think I'm funny, but I don't realize that I'm funny.
You're so funny. You're so funny.
I'm like clueless when it comes to to comedy, but people just like look at me and they're like, "Huh? Like what? What did you just say? What did you just do?" And they'll laugh, and I'll have like no idea what I just did. Yeah, that's
yeah, I love it. You're such a comedian. Like, it's always a good time to be around you, especially like when we go out to like parties, or like I show up to your job and just like cause havoc and chaos with someone in particular. But we won't mention the other person because like they're irrelevant at this moment and point in time. So
yeah.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Hey.
do you see the violence that I get treated with every day?
Please don't attack the fans next. Please.
Exactly. So as we like begin to like close out this podcast, we know that everyone's not happy all the time, and we know there are times when like we feel sad or like we just have like a really bad day. So in those moments, what do you find yourself doing to like give yourself a little pick me up, to bring yourself back to the Emma that we all know and love? Not saying that we don't love the moments where you're sad, but like, the happy Emma.
You prefer the happy Emma.
I
guess.
prefer the ups, the downs.
Aw,
Yeah,
that's
anything.
sweet. Yeah, what would I do? I really like to talk it out with people to get their perspective, because sometimes if I think about it too much by myself, I'll stress myself out. But it's also something I do. It's something that, like, maybe I'll keep it in for a certain amount of time and think about it myself, and then, like, I won't tell people right away because it might not fit that situation. But I do like to think about how I can change the way I'm feeling, how I can improve the situation, and what I can do for myself to bring myself out of that negative energy.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that.
Thank you.
I love that so
Thank
much
you.
because we are such complete opposites. If I posted this thing on my Instagram or WhatsApp status, and I was like, I am so good at hiding my own emotions. You will never know that I'm broken on the inside because I always have a smile on my face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's something I have to work on, conveying and communicating my emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we close down this podcast, and you dropped some really great messages, some really great stories, and
thank you.
this is honestly, I can say, one of my favorite podcasts because
Thank you so
this
much.
episode, I wanted to cry, but I got a little a little pick me up with your self-love stories. Oh, this episode is one for the books. But if you could offer any piece of advice to someone who was in your situation, what is one thing you would say to them?
I think, looking back to what I've experienced, I think it's really important not to be scared to speak up.
Yeah.
Because even now I still am sometimes. But if you don't say what's on your mind, then it will never come through to the other person. And that's really important for people to know. And especially how you and that other person stand on your relationship. Yeah, that's my piece of advice, and I hope anyone listening to this is able to apply that at some point in their lives. And even if you're hesitating about it, I'd say take your time, but really think about it and try your best to speak up.
Oh, I am speechless. I don't even know what else to say.
What is your WhatsApp status?
My WhatsApp status right now, it's blank. I have nothing there. So I want to thank you all for joining me on another episode. So I want to thank you all for joining me on another episode of the I Love Me podcast, where Emma came and shared her stories, dropped messages, and gave insightful wisdom on how she loves herself at the end of the day. If you want to listen to an all-new episode of the I Love Me podcast, come back in next week, Saturday, for an all-new episode with an all-new guest filled with insightful wisdom and insightful messages. My name is Thor.
And I'm Emma.
And we are out. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I don't need no ring, I'm the diamond, even on diamond.